I am the prophet of God. You can learn about this true story in Jeremiah 29, verse 1 through 14. What did you learn from this true story? How can you apply this story to your life? Let me tell you some of the things that I have learned from this experience, what God has taught me. God sent his people into captivity in Babylon. They had nothing. They were refugees. To survive, they had to start over completely without anything. In fact, God sent them specific instructions, his plan of how to start over to ensure that they would have a hope and a future. First, God told them to build houses and to settle down. God wants each of us to have a place to live and to be settled so we will have a foundation from which we can help others. God also told them to plant gardens and to eat what they produce, or to eat from their own gardens. Having a source of income or a way to eat and survive without being dependent on others to provide for you is very important. By establishing your own source of food or income, you can be in a position to serve others, not take from them. God's plan was for his followers to marry and have children. The Bible tells us we are to have one wife and that children are a reward from God, not a curse. God so believes in marriage that he told those in captivity to find spouses for their sons and daughters and to be sure and increase, not to decrease. The Lord told them this very important truth, that after they had done all these other things, they were to pray for their city and to seek its peace and prosperity. For their very own prosperity was dependent upon the prosperity of their city. God uses our efforts to create a peaceful community where everyone is benefiting. We are not to use force, violence, oppression, slavery, or injustice to gain prosperity. We are also not to seek prosperity for ourselves only, but for all those in our community. If we each prosper, then the community will be healthy for all the people living there. Finally, the Lord told his people not to listen to false prophets and deceivers that lived among them. This was important to remember, especially when their future seemed so dark. But after giving these clear instructions that they were to follow, the Lord declared to them that his plans were to prosper, not to harm them, to give them hope and a future. And just as promised, the Lord removed them from captivity after 70 years, and they returned to Jerusalem. They were not harmed, and they had prospered. Can you too follow God's plan? Can you start with nothing and prosper by following the step-by-step plans he gave to the slaves of Babylon? Think through each of these steps carefully. Be sure you are following each one. God wants to give you hope and a future, but you must do your part and God will do his part. There is so much more God wants to teach us.